Welcome back. New home sales in the US actually beat expectations, but housing inventory, or the amount of new houses for sale, just increased to nearly a 16-year high. This is based on a brand new report from the US Census Bureau just announced on September 25th. So in today's video, we're going to talk about new home sales, housing inventory, and of course, home prices on a national level. This this report, I should say, was just posted today on September 25th, which covers the month of August. This is according to the US Census Bureau. This, by the way, only looks at brand new single-family houses nationwide. And by the way, as well, they define a sale as a deposit taken or a sales agreement signed between a home builder and a home buyer. So therefore, this is really more acting like a pending home sale, a future indication of closed home sales of brand new houses. And by the way, a sale can occur prior to the home being built. So you can put a deposit down on a dirt lot and the builder starts building the house, and then the house is built 6 to 12 months from now. That could be a sale or a completed house, or of course a house under construction as well. Much different, of course, compared to the resale market, right? All right, let's talk about sales. And by the way, these figures are in thousands of units. They're also seasonally adjusted and analyzed as well, or annualized for sales. So for the month of August, there was 716,000 home sales. That was the sales pace in August. You basically kind of take the actual number of home sales, multiply that by 12, do a seasonal adjustment, and you get to around 716,000 for the month of April, or August, I should say. That actually beat the forecast. The forecast was calling for 699,000, and it came in about 17,000 higher than the street's forecast. But it still decreased compared to the previous month. So for example, sales fell from August compared to July down by 4.7%, but they did increase up by 9.8% year over year. Something I found to be interesting as well is that sales fell by 4.7% compared to the previous month. This is quite the swing compared to what happened 1 month ago. 1 month ago, sales increased by 10%. So basically a 15 percentage point swing compared to what happened 1 month ago. One more thing I want to touch on regarding this is that sales at around 700,000 is more or less on par with pre-pandemic levels. So the sales we're seeing this August is more or less in line with looking at 2018 through 2019. And that's this right here, according to our good Uncle Fred. And of course, the source here is the US Census Bureau. So 716,000, far less than the peak back in October 2020. The sales pace over 1 million units. But looking at the same time frame around 2019, around 700,000 home sales. In contrast, this is also much better than the trough we saw back in July of 2022, when back then there was only 519 sales. Now we have over 700,000. If you guys follow the channel, you guys all know that I say that every market's different. So they actually break this down by 4 major regions: the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, and the West. So I don't know what's happening in the Northeast, but big decreases, down by 27% from July, and down by a whopping 33% compared to 1 year ago. Something worth mentioning though is this right here. Only 24,000 new home sales in the Northeast compared to the nation as a whole at 716,000. So the sales in the Northeast and the Midwest represent a very small fraction of all home sales in the United States. In fact, the biggest share is actually in the South at 459,000, increase compared to 1 month ago and 1 year ago. In contrast, in the West, sales tanked, down by 17.8 month to month, and down by nearly 7% from August of 2023. All right, let's change gears slightly here and talk about inventory levels, the amount of new houses for sale. Again, this could be a dirt lot, a home under construction, or a completed house as well, which I have some news regarding that because we saw a sharp increase in the number of completed houses that are actually for sale right now. I've been talking about that on the channel for quite some time. And that trend is continuing, by the way. So for the nation as a whole, there's 467,000 houses for sale. That is seasonally adjusted, but is not annualized. So 467,000 besides May and June, when at that time there was 468,000. That's the most amount of new houses for sale since all the way back until March of 2008. And here's a look at our good Uncle Fred. Going all the way back until March 2008, back then there was 470,000 homes for sale. Now we're basically on par with that at around 467,000. We still are around 100,000 shy of the all-time record highs though, that was set back in July of 2006, when at that time we had 572,000 new single-family houses for sale nationwide. Also, zooming in over the past 5 years, look at October of 2020, only 282,000 homes for sale. Now it's approaching 470,000. This means that inventory levels for brand new houses has increased by a staggering 66% over the past several years. In regards to the month supply, we're sitting at a 7.8 month supply. That is an increase of 6.8% from 1 month ago, when at that time we had 7.3 months, but it's down compared to 12 months ago, when 12 months ago we were at, 7.9 months. On top of that, at 7.8 months, this is still historically high, but it's actually an improvement compared to late last year through the early parts of this year, when the month supply was in the range of 8 to around 9 months. Looking at a 10-year chart for the month supply at 7.8 months right now, this is actually higher compared to pre-COVID levels. During the same time frame in 2019, of course, the month of August, the month supply was only at 5.5 months. Now we're at 7.8 months. Also, looking at August of 2018, the month supply was at 6.5 months. Back in August 2017, the month supply was at 6.1 months. So the month supply right now is higher compared to the previous month, and also higher compared to pre-COVID levels as well. In regards to the median sale price on a national level, it did decrease down from $440,900 to $420,600. A decrease of 5% from 1 year earlier. Let's take a look at the percent distribution of home sales for the month of August, how that compares to 1 year ago by price range. So remember, probably like in the early parts of this year, we saw a huge increase of sales of the resale market for existing houses, but also sales for brand new home construction, sales at the upper range of the market, kind of impacting overall the national median sale price. So more home sales of more expensive houses, which kind of was supporting the growth rate in home prices. And right now, based on the data for August for brand new houses, we're seeing basically the exact opposite. A decrease in home sales of more expensive houses and an increase in sales of more affordable properties. So for example, sales for over $1 million represented only 4% of all home sales this August, but it was at 5% 1 year ago. Sales in the range of $800,000 to about $1 million went from 8% to only 3% of all home sales this August. In the range of $600,000 to around $800,000, it went from 14% to 12%. So all the buckets here decreased compared to 1 year ago. In contrast, look at under $300,000. 1 year ago, 12%. Now that has increased to 18%. We also seen this as well in the range of $300,000 to $400,000. And keep in mind, the median sale price around $400,000. So sales for that price range went from 25% to 29%. Therefore, the growth rate of the median sale price on a national level wasn't being supported by an increase of sales of more expensive properties. In fact, we're seeing just the opposite. Therefore, more sales of less expensive houses compared to 1 year ago could be contributing to the decrease in prices from 12 months ago. All right, here's something I really want to kind of talk about in today's video. I had a subscriber reach out to me, I believe it was yesterday, maybe the day before. He placed an offer using a different agent. I'm not going to go there, but he placed an offer on a brand new house here in the greater Sacramento area. Found out several days later, he lost his job. He had already placed his deposit on that property or that brand new house with a builder. So he's worried about potentially losing his deposit because he lost his job. And if you're watching today's video, I really feel for you. But here's kind of like something that he kind of thought that I probably should share on my video. And of course, this is announced today from the U.S. Census Bureau, so I kind of want to bring this up. So I want to touch on this because looking at sales for houses that are not yet started, this means that you place a deposit down on a dirt lot, and then the builder starts building the house. So it takes approximately 6 to 12 months for builders to build houses, right? If you place a deposit down, and in my area, which is the greater Sacramento area, those deposit amounts can be tens of thousands of dollars. And more often than not, those deposits are non-refundable. You have to look at the purchase contracts to make sure you go to the sales office with your trusted realtor to help you kind of guide you through that contract, because those contracts from the builders, in my personal opinion, are really written to protect the builder and not the home buyer. And those contracts can be hundreds of pages long. Hard to figure out what rights you have if something happens, losing your job, your loan doesn't get approved, what happens to your deposit, right? So make sure if you guys are looking to buy a brand new house, regardless of where you live, make sure you go into the sales office for the first time with a realtor who really knows about purchase contracts and can kind of guide you through all the verbiage that's in those purchase contracts. Anyways, the reason why I mentioned that is that because of that subscriber that reached out to me, but also this as well. Not yet started, but sold. In other words, the deposit was taken from the home builder. 1 year ago, there was 119,000. Now there's only 96,000. Again, this is just my personal opinion. Let me kind of talk about the pros and cons very quickly. The pros on placing a deposit down on a dirt lot and then the builder starts building the house is that you can choose your fit and finishes in the house. The downside though is that those fit and finishes often are very, very expensive. So you can kind of tailor your preferences on a house to buy, which is great. The downside though is what happens in that time frame from when you place your deposit till, let's just say 1 year from now, in which you can buy the house, you get your keys to your house. What happens if you lose your job in the interim? If you lose your job, will your loan get denied? And if that happens, will you lose your deposit, which again can be tens of thousands of dollars? So I mention that because I don't want you guys to walk into a sales office. Don't use a realtor. I'm not saying this person did that, but the last thing you want to do is walk into a sales office, just work directly with a sales rep, thinking you're going to get a deal. You really have to have someone who's going to look out for your best interests, who can look over the contract with you, kind of talk about the pros and cons about buying a brand new house. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Much more risky to buy a house that's a dirt lot compared to a completed house. And speaking of completed houses, to segue here, for all home sales, or I should say for all houses for sale, again, 467,000, there was 105,000 houses that were completed that were technically for sale. That, by the way, is the biggest amount of houses that were completed, but they were for sale, since going all the way back until October of 2009. On top of that, 1 year ago, there was only 73,000. Now it has increased a whopping 44% compared to 1 year ago. My advice for you guys, if you guys don't get any value out of today's video whatsoever, if you're looking to buy a house, link up with a realtor, number one. And number two, go have a look at completed houses, because builders are much more motivated to get you a good deal on a completed house versus a dirt lot. Just think of the builder. The builder has put in all these costs on building a house, and therefore they're much more motivated to sell those houses and give you a deal, offer you a closing cost credit, free builder upgrade, maybe a lower than market rate interest rate. They're much more motivated to give you a deal on that compared to a dirt lot, in which there's not a lot of sunken costs on a dirt lot, if that makes sense. One last thing, just kind of giving you advice just from someone who's been a realtor for 11 years or so, is that if you're also looking to buy a house, whether it's brand new or an existing house, make sure you have long-term time horizons. If you want to buy a house, but you might want to move in a year, then why would you buy? Just have long-term time horizons, at least 7 years. And of course, do your best to have a stable job. And of course, an emergency fund if something were to happen as well. With that said, if you guys have any questions, or if you want to buy or sell a house in the greater Sacramento area, then please email me at jason@meetjasonwalter.com. Of course, you can also check out my website, which is realestateteamfinder.com. I wish you well. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next video. Have an amazing day.